Good evening and welcome to the June 9th meeting of the Board of Selectmen. We are being taped by Middleborough Community Cable Access and being broadcast on both Verizon and Comcast. Any member of the board have anything under unanticipated? Any member of the public have anything under unanticipated? Sir?
My name is Chris Gill. I'm not a resident, but I'm here asking for permission to use the Herring Run Park on 48 Wareham Street for a memorial service for a friend of mine who just passed away. And I just wanted to make sure I get clearance. It's going to be 30 to 50 people we anticipate. We want to put some chairs out, and we're just going to give people a chance to talk about our relationship.
I'm sorry to hear that news over the weekend. And do you know what day it's going to be?
I don't yet. The family's just coming to my house. They're coming in from San Diego. They made some arrangements today, and they're going to finish it up hopefully tonight, or I should know early tomorrow morning.
All right. Does any member of the board have any issues with this? Or Charlie, do you know if there's any type of...
Never run into this before, but you know, it's a public park. I don't see why that should interfere with anything.
The only thing I would ask is that you, as soon as you figure out what day you're going to have it, just let Fran Cass, the head of the Parks Department, know. Okay.
There was some discussion. I can let Jackie and I'll let them know as well. There was some question of who was responsible. This is the one across from the DPW.
Yeah, so that's ours.
Oh, Wareham Street?
That's us.
Yeah.
Oh, all right.
Okay.
I'll send it to both, just so you know.
All right.
That way if the right person.
Okay.
Great.
Yep.
Good. Thank you.
Thank you, and sorry for your loss.
Thank you.
Okay. Anyone else under unanticipated? Announcements and recognitions. Mr. McKinnon?
Mr. Chairman, we have recently had 3 new firefighters go through the, graduated from the Massachusetts Firefighting Academy recruit training program. Firefighters Bill Lieb, Jason Myers, and Thomas Belushi. Now, it's a very intense program that they run for the firefighters for training. It's a 9-week program. All the basic skill sets are taught. And in every class, they award to one of the firefighters a special award, the Richard N. Bangs Award for outstanding performance, for excellence in academics and skill application. And one of our firefighters that went through the class, Thomas Belushi, was the recipient of this award. Again, it's only one passed out per class. It's not everybody getting a gold star, but so it's a significant event. Congratulations to them. It's glad to have them on the team to help us, and it's quite an honor. It's quite a job to get through that academy. It's not easy. So that's my first announcement. Second is I want to make an announcement that there's 2 positions open for volunteers on the Western Forest Committee. This is a committee that comes under the command of the Board of Selectmen. So if you're interested in working in the Western Forest Committee and being part of that team, send your letters of interest to the Board of Selectmen and we will make our selections. And that be it for me, sir.
All right. Any other member of the board have anything under announcements?
Mr. Chair.
Mr. Milton?
Just a little update on mosquito population. From 2001 to 2009, public works employees were allowed to drop pesticides into catch basins, but then the Department of Agriculture ruled that in 2010 that only licensed professionals were able to apply those pesticide applications, which meant it was a limited number of people who could do it. So they didn't get to everyone as quickly as we would hope. Allowing DPW workers to apply pesticides in the storm drains will help wipe out breeding grounds from mosquitoes. There is now a bill that's gone through the House, and it passed today. It just has to go through the Senate and then get signed by the governor, which will then allow DPW workers to be able to do that, so our own local people could help a lot more controlling our mosquito population. So I'm hopeful to see that legislation continue through and pass.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman?
Mr.
To
McKinnon?
Mr. Knowlton, can you get the copy of the bill number, and can we send a letter of support
We certainly
to
could.
the senator so that he can kind of push it through the Senate?
Is that a motion?
That is a motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any other comments or questions? All in favor?
Aye?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes unanimously. Ms. Dalton?
Yes, I do. I just wanted to let everyone know we've gotten quite a following with the Tourism Committee. We usually meet on the fourth Wednesday of the month. We're probably going to be looking for a bigger room to meet in, which is very good news because more and more business owners and residents are stepping forth and helping. This month, however, because we have to get some business done before the end of the fiscal year, we will be meeting on the third Wednesday, which is the 18th at 7 o'clock here in the Town Hall. That's the Tourism Committee, Wednesday, the 18th of June at 7 o'clock. And, very important one, happy birthday to our own Selectman, Diane Stewart.
Thank you, Leilani. It's today.
Would you like to sing happy birthday to her?
I don't think that's necessary.
Thank you, thank you.
I'll give you a birthday present, and I won't sing happy birthday to her.
Excellent.
That's a birthday present to all of us.
Right?
That's right.
I have a couple of,
Okay.
so back in 1920, I just wanted to say that Congress passed the 19th Amendment, which gave women the right to vote. And Saturday, June 14th, we have our special election here in Middleborough. I think it's 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. I'm not positive on that. So everyone should go out and vote, especially if you're a woman, because you have only had not even the last 100 years to do so. So exercise that right. And also this weekend, I had the opportunity to attend the class of 2014's graduation at the high school. We have some really talented individuals, I think, that are graduating and going on to either the armed forces or college, so I wish them the best of luck. And also, we had some individuals from Middleborough that went to the Special Olympics Summer Games, and I think they participated in the swimming events. And there was also a Challenger League Jamboree in Rhode Island, and that's a division of the Little League for individuals with developmental and physical handicapped. So it's a busy weekend for people that I want to recognize those individuals.
All right. Anyone else? I have one quick announcement. There will be a gathering of people who are running the Boston Marathon on June 21st at 6:30 p.m. And it's just kind of getting together. If you completed the Boston Marathon, a bunch of people are going to be getting together at Barrett's Ale House on June 21st at 6:30 p.m. and just kind of celebrating the fact that you can run a lot farther than most of the rest of us. And so that's going on. And we just had a Middleborough resident drafted, I think, 15th in Major League Baseball draft. And now that I'm trying to think of his name, I can't. Sean Newcomb. All right, so congratulations to him, and we appreciate his talent and all of his coaches who helped him along the way. And does any member of the audience have anything to
Thank you. My name's Dottie Thayer, and I'm one of the directors at the Middleborough Historical Association. And I've been asked to come here this evening and invite you to, and the public, to our 100th anniversary of the founding of the Maxim Motor Company. This will be Saturday, June 21st, from 1 to 3:30 p.m. This is a rain or shine event on the grounds of the Middleborough Historical Museum, 18 Jackson Street. It's behind the police and fire stations. And we have it's free of charge. And we have a schedule of activities for that day. It can be found on our Middleborough Historical Association website, but just quickly, Howard Smith, who has written 2 books about the company, is coming to do a program about Maxim Motor. There's going to be a chat time for former employees of the Maxim Company or their families, hopefully a walking tour of the exterior of the Maxim buildings, and of course, where would we be without an anniversary cake cutting, and also perhaps a video of the history of firefighting. And there'll be other ongoing displays of Maxim trucks, providing it's good weather, because the antique trucks don't have the cabs that they have today, so they won't be coming out. There'll be one. Middleborough Historical owns one, and it is inside a building, so there will be at least one, unless the weather is shiny. There'll be displays about a couple of major fires also in Middleborough. The Bates School fire, which the building used to be right out here next to the town hall. That happened in 1954, which is 60 years ago. And the Three Factories fire, 1974, 40 years ago. And hopefully some people will come and perhaps bring any of their memories of that two fires or some photographs. We'd be glad to add that to our collection. And of course, there'll be children's activities as well. Thank you very much.
Mr. Chairman, what are the times again, ma'am?
It's from 1 to 3:30 p.m.
1 to 3:30,
on
okay.
Saturday, the 21st.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks.
Mr. Chairman, we also had an email from Chief Gates, who wanted to let the residents know that there's a police auction on Saturday, June 14th at 9 a.m. And I think in a prior email, he said there were a lot of bicycles that would be going, so go to that.
Thank you for that, Save. I appreciate it. Does anyone else have anything under announcements and recognitions? Okay. I would entertain a motion to authorize the chairman or his designee to sign the warrants for week ending June 7th.
So moved.
Second.
Any comments or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes unanimously. Under new business, Mr. Perkins is going to discuss Crazy Days.
Good evening. It's going to be a very brief discussion. I don't have that much on the agenda. I just want to remind everybody that Crazy Days is going to happen once again, as it has for the last few years, the first weekend in August. This year it's August 1st and 2nd. It's a Friday and a Saturday. There'll be the usual entertainments and some new ones this year. So stay tuned, watch the papers, and we'll be putting some press releases out very shortly. We're also going to be doing a big barbecue over here. That's going to be a completely different type of barbecue than we've ever done before or I've ever seen in town. It's actually a contest, so that ought to be good. But anyway, like I say, stay tuned for the happenings of that weekend. Tonight, I'm here primarily to ask your permission as a board to do our annual street closings on the 1st and 2nd from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. And those are comprised of the intersection of South Main Street at Nickerson Ave, Wareham Street at Clifford Street, North Main Street at Pierce Street, and Center Street at Union Street. So if you would entertain a motion to allow those. Just for your edification, I have spoken with the police chief and the fire chief. They're in full agreement, so there's no problem there.
Mr. Chairman,
Estelle?
I move that we grant permission to Crazy Days to close the streets as outlined by Mr. Perkins.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any comments or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes unanimously. I have a couple questions for you.
Sure.
The cookout is Friday night?
There's going to be food events both nights, yes, but the cook-off will be Friday night.
All right, both nights. Mark that up in the calendar. Quick question from the board. Would the board like to join me in renting a booth for the Board of Selectmen this year at Crazy Days? I'll rent the booth and just asking you guys to stop by and hang out for a little while.
Okay.
I can be there for part of it. I'll be at the tourism committee one as well, but,
All right.
yep.
And just so you know, the town crier will be in attendance again this year.
I hope so. Can we just make sure that we're clear on what time the streets are going to be closed on Saturday morning? for people, or Friday morning and Saturday morning?
Well, I just asked you for 8 AM to 6 PM.
Because I remember last year there was a little bit of confusion.
There was confusion. I think we've got things ironed out with that. I've already spoken to the DPW director. The barricades will be where they belong, and I think we've got the manpower to get them done right this time.
I don't want Paula getting hit by a car as she's running through the streets marking things off.
I don't want to see that happen either.
So, all right, I think that's good. We look forward to the updates.
Okay.
All right,
Thank you very much.
Okay, I would entertain a motion to approve the 9th annual 2-mile Chris McGinnis fundraiser walk for progeria research.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any comments or questions?
Fire chief and police chief are both okay with this.
Yep. Anyone from you guys? No? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes unanimously. I would entertain a motion to appoint Ann Kavanaugh as a member of the Town Tourism Committee for a term of 1 year.
So moved.
Second.
Any comments or questions?
Mr. Chair, Ann was one of the movers and shakers in the Herring Festival that we just pulled off so successfully, and she's already been doing hours and hours of research and work for the committee, so we have the work for her. We're happy to have her on board.
Okay, any other comments or questions?
I agree with that. I worked on the Herring Run Festival committee as well, and she was absolutely a team player and
Phenomenal.
phenomenal.
We're glad to have her on our side.
All right. So I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes unanimously. I would entertain a motion to approve payment of Atlantic Design Engineers invoice in the amount of $1,862.50 for the completion of the initial and second review of the Cumberland Farm WRPD application for 90 East Grove Street.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any comments or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes unanimously. I would entertain a motion to approve payment of Atlantic Design Engineers Incorporated invoice in the amount of $822.50 for their final review of the Cumberland Farms WRPD application for 90 East Grove Street.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any comments or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Passes unanimously. Okay. We're right on time. I'll open up a, do I have to read this? Oh, I forgot I did forget one announcement, so we'll just go back to announcements real quick. The Old Colony Elder Services, Protective Services is having a training for first responders and other professionals on Tuesday, June 10th. Lunch is at noon. The program is at 1 p.m. at the Middleborough Public Library. It's an overview of the role of protective services, referral process and timeline, and a collaboration with local resources. And there will be a question and answer period. Any questions at all, you can contact Andrea Priest at the COA, 508-946-2490. And this is an event that is sponsored by the Executive Office of Elder Affairs. And now we will open up the Water Resource Protection District hearing for Loden Oil Company, DBA Loden Propane on Wareham Street, map 94, lot 1026.
Excuse me, I have to read the
I have to read the
hearing
the hearing notice, all right. Thank you. The Board of Selectmen will hold a public hearing in the Selectmen's Meeting Room at Town Hall, 10 Nickerson Avenue, Middleborough, Mass. on Monday, June 9th, 2014 at 8 p.m. Oh, that's not right. Can we change that? It says 8 p.m. on the hearing. Or do we have to wait till 8? Our agenda was published for 7:30, so I would assume that we can move forward at 7:30.
Hearing notice. Let me just see.
I'm not really sure,
Let me just see if it's
though.
the right hearing notice, because they have
All
two
right.
hearings. They have another one next week. That one says the right date, right?
Yes, June 9th.
Yep. Okay, that's all right. All right, we can do the correspondence. Or actually, Charlie, why don't you go first, and we'll talk about the town manager's report.
Are the commissioners here? Can we do the
Mr.
commissioners?
Chairman, why don't we do the county commissioners?
All right,
That's
well,
not a
then-
hearing or anything, and I imagine they might want to get out early, you never know.
This is true. How about we hear from Plymouth County Commissioners?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to introduce my colleague Sandra Wright. I'm Greg Hanley. Our chairman is on his way, and we have the esteemed treasurer of Plymouth County, Tom O'Brien, with us. So with that, Sandra and I have been going around to Indiana, have been going around to every community and talking a little bit about what Plymouth County is and who we serve and what we're all about. And so we kind of have it down to a little shtick. So I'll let Sandra start because she's pretty good at it, you know.
Good evening, nice to be here. Thank you for having us. I guess just a little bit what I do is I just tell you what Plymouth County does, for those of you who might be new, and for those that are watching on Plymouth Cable here.
Yes, we do.
Oh, we do, okay. That really doesn't know what Plymouth County does. So over the last few years, as Commissioner Hanley has said, that we have been trying to get out into the public in the different towns and just, be more visible to you people and let you know, we're here, and if there's anything that you have any needs, that, we'd be more than happy to help you. So we do service, we maintain and operate the Registry of Deeds with 2 satellites, one in Rockland and one in Plymouth and one in Brockton. We have 3 courthouses, Hingham, Wareham, and Brockton. We also do the administration and finance management for the Mass Municipal Health Group. We have an operation and parking ticket program. We manage the oversight and bulk purchase bid for municipal vehicles, gas and diesel, which I believe Middleborough is a part of, and also the police and fire equipment. We also operate the 4-H agricultural program, which is growing every day as we speak. They bring in a lot of new incentive programs, which is always great, especially having an agricultural county. So we're always happy to see that. We do the operation and maintenance management of the fire control airplane, which has been of great use in many towns to spot fires. We do the funding and support for the firefighter training program, funding and grant support for local tourism in Plymouth. We're also helping the Housing Authority with their GASB 45. I'll turn it back over to Greg, and I think he's going to hit on some of the initiatives that we have legislatively.
This group of commissioners has been in office for about 18 months. And when we came in, we saw that there were a lot of problems with funding and how the county gets its money. There was a formula that was written in 1982 that the state still adheres to. Gives us 10 cents on every dollar generated from the deeds excise tax and the registry stamp fees. And so with that, we're also charging 2.5% on top of that in an assessment to each community. And for that, you get all the services that Sandra described to you. With this group of commissioners, it's the first time in the history of county commissioners that you have 3 former municipal officials. I was a selectman in the town of Pembroke. Sandra is currently a counselor in Bridgewater, and Dan was a selectman in the town of Hanover. So our approach to government has been, how can we help you? How can we try to offset expenses that every city and town has? And one of the things that we've started right out of the gate was a municipal program for energy management. We have partnered with a private concern called Power Management. It's available to your community where you can enlist the resources of this group to do an ESCO in your community and do everything from energy audits to pump reduction programs, and all for the cost of 0. What they do is they come in, they work with your public buildings folks and your school department to look at ways that they can save energy through their programs. And it costs you nothing. They'll generate an audit for you of your buildings, and if at a further date you choose to engage them, then you would do so under Chapter 30B and negotiate a contract with them. The county is their partner, so we get half of whatever is generated through the savings. It doesn't cost you a dime, it's through the savings that they get paid. So that's one program that we started right out of the gate. Also, when we got in office, we were faced with a lot of problems associated with the administrative side of the government. So as I spoke to earlier about the formula, we wrote 7 pieces of legislation to correct the inequities that the state has done. And through the skillful guidance of the county treasurer and our fellow commissioner, Mr. Plata, coming through the door, we were able to successfully, at least in the budget, to get courthouse rent addressed. They weren't reimbursing us 100% on the dollar. They weren't covering the expenses of the health care and the benefits. So we were able, through this legislative cycle so far, we have to still get through the governor's desk, we were able to address 100% reimbursement on courthouse rent. So what was happening, we were falling behind. We were paying out 100%, but we're only getting reimbursed about 90%. There was a deficit that was growing that wouldn't allow us to do capital projects, et cetera. So we were able to successfully do that. Deeds excise, hopefully, is going to be lifted from the current $10, 10 cents per dollar up to 28 cents per dollar. And it's been earmarked to offset what they call the maintenance of that. Those are the legacy costs that the county was left with when the state took over the jail. They took the assets, they took the people, but they left the liability. So we will be able to use the increased portion of that to offset that over a 10-year period, if again the governor signs it. With respect to stabilization, the county never had a stabilization fund. A rainy day account, any monies that were left in excess had to be spent. We didn't have a revolving account, so that is pending as well. And lastly, it's a separate matter and went through the county treasury pension obligation bond. As you know, you have an obligation on all of your debt, and because we have the only certified municipal treasurer in the county as our representative, he statewide is the only guy who can now issue pension obligation bonds, and he's here and he can speak for himself. But these are just some of the mundane things about county government. We're an administrative arm. We're not glamorous, but we're here in an effort to create new opportunities. Now that we've taken care of these inequities legislatively, if the money starts to generate, it will then come to us in the form of seed money for programs. So we have just concluded an RFQ on energy management for the county buildings. We're looking at revenue generation through solar and wind energy. We're also looking at an opportunity to work with Mr. Pilata and his, well, I'll let you talk about what he did today, which is great, but
Just before, can we just talk about the dredging?
I apologize about the dredge, yes.
One of the other programs that we had, that I know in 2010 when I was first running, I had ran saying that I wanted to do a dredge program. We have now started that. It's out on the seacoast right now, but we are purchasing a dredge machine come July, and we will be dredging the seacoast first, and hopefully, my main intention was to do the inlands. We really need to start, you know, addressing some of our lakes and ponds and replenishing some of the natural resources, because they're really going away. They're turning into cranberry bogs and other things, and it's great for the cranberry bog owners, but not for our lakes and ponds. So we really need to bring back our natural resources. So that's a program that we have started. Again, Treasurer has worked very hard in getting the money. We have $250,000 that we were given to purchase the dredge machine. So that will be purchased in July. And we hope that we can be of service to the towns here in dredging your lakes and ponds. Thank you. And now I'll turn it over to Mr. Plata.
Sorry I'm late. I apologize. Just wanted to thank you for having us. We're trying to hit all those 27 towns in 2 or 3 years, which is a pretty tough task, especially since nobody really knows what we do. Most of the seasoned towns know that we're a minor little blip on your cherry sheet, and Mr. McKinnon knows what we do because he comes every single year to our legislative body. But we're here to serve you. I did have some good news today. I met with the court system in Wareham. I don't know if I think you guys in Wareham. Yeah, Wareham will not be closing this year. So any rumors that you hear about Wareham closing, it doesn't appear as though it's on the docket for this year. Neither is Hingham.
Easy
so.
for us.
Huh?
Makes it easy for us, we don't have to drive as far now.
Well, it's a serious problem that we fight on your behalf every single year. We don't want to lose Wareham any more than anyone else does. And Wareham has about $2.2 million worth of capital needs. We don't have the ability to tax, so doing capital needs is a difficult thing for the county. We can't raise your assessment, we can't raise revenue. So we did this year, as Commissioner Hanley and Commissioner Wright had indicated, we've attacked the legislature who's been attacking the county for the past 30 years and taking us apart. We're trying to put it back together. One thing I learned from the sheriff last week was that he was a little upset he's not getting the same amount of money that the Hampden County Sheriff gets, and they both have the same inmate population, but the Hampden County Sheriff costs almost $10 million a year more to run. And that's because the Hampden County Sheriff is a sheriff that's been in the state system since '93. He's only been in the state system for 4 years. The county does do it cheaper than the state. We don't want to lose the registry of deeds. We don't want to lose anything else we have, and we want to serve you. And the only way that we're going to be able to serve you is if you tell us what you need, maybe deliberate in a meeting or two, and when Steve comes at the end of the month to the advisory board, let us know what we can do to help you. Whatever mundane task it is. I just learned tonight I was mundane from him, saying we're mundane. So Steve knew it all along. So, but all kidding aside, we're here to serve you, and we're trying to hit all the towns to serve you, so that, you know, you can be proud of the county. We're the oldest county in the country. It's 1685, and we want to continue the service that the county did excellent for decades. It's only in the last 30 years, when the state got hungry for money, that they took our assets. When they took the jail had a $110 million bond on it. The state immediately went out and issued a new bond for about $50 million more than the old bond. They took your money and our money, and we got nothing for it. We don't want to see that happen to the rest of the assets. We're going to fight to the last tooth and nail on every single thing that you, the taxpayer of Middleborough, has paid for. So, that being said, we thank you for having us, and at least now you know the faces to the little box you checked. I hope you checked. Don't check him off next time. Check me, don't
Not
check
mundane.
him.
We don't go for mundane. I got a question for you.
Shoot.
I got two questions for you. What was the status of the charter? There was a charter commission?
Great question. The Charter Commission, as you know, we voted to create my last year on the advisory board with you when I was a selectman in Hanover. The members were elected. We wrote a charter. Sandy and I served on the Charter Commission, and the legislature chose not to put the charter forward to the residents to vote on. It's disappointing for she and I, who worked, and the other 17 who worked for 2 years to get that to the legislature to a vote. In that charter were things that are in the bills that Greg just talked about. We kind of doubled up and started taking chunks of the charter. We didn't throw it away. We took chunks of that charter study and said, you know what, in case the charter doesn't pass, let's try and get this piece and that piece and this piece, and that's what the pieces are before you.
And my other question is, years ago, there was talk of getting these financial audits done, the yearly financial audits. And I think you've made tremendous progress in that, because I think when I first come on, they were probably 10 years behind, and now we're getting, I think, it's 4 years out. Is that a reasonable number?
You've asked the best question of all. We have buildings that have fallen down. We can't fix them because we can't bond. We can't bond because we don't have audits. We inherited 10 years of audits missing. And in 2 years, we're up to 2010. 2010 is a really big year, because in 2010, half the year, the sheriff department, 585 employees, and a $140 million asset is with the county, and the second half of the year, he's not. And the auditors have been struggling to get those year-end numbers from the Commonwealth, because we don't own them anymore. All our records went with the sheriff to the Commonwealth. They're struggling to get the final pieces together. We're hoping to have the draft of 10 for the meeting. 11 and 12 are going to take about 2 weeks to 2 months after 10 is complete because they're a lot simpler, and we're automated. We went automated in '09, so that the county treasurer can get the information out. We promised you that you'd have through 12 for the advisory board, and we're probably gonna miss that promise, but not through any reason other than, you know, the Commonwealth won't give us the information. We've even debated sending a Freedom of Information Act for our own records. I mean, how ridiculous is that? So.
Well, we are in Massachusetts, so it doesn't really shock me very much.
Everyone in here is going, what's the big deal? That sounds horrible.
But can the towns do anything to help you with this?
If we don't have 2010 by the advisory board meeting, the county commissioners will be asking the towns to do something.
Okay.
All right, just like we asked you to do something on these legislation, and believe it or not, it helped. They heard from everybody.
Right.
Okay?
Okay.
Any other questions?
Mr. Chair, if I may sit through you? Hi. Actually, I wanted to ask Greg, you mentioned something before about taking care of the inequities of the dollars being distributed and how some's coming back to you and you'll be able to start to do capital projects. What kind of projects are you talking about there?
Well, actually, Dan's better suited.
Okay, Dan,
I brought it up, but I will say, Dan.
He covered for me pretty good, huh?
In his day job, he is an owner's project manager, and we're very lucky to have him on our team. He has put together a program with a company called Siemens, who is going to come in and review all of the needs of all of our buildings and every capital aspect. And from there, again, kind of what we're doing with power management, through the savings and through our ability to bond, once the audits are done, we're going to be able to hopefully have new buildings. And the other side of that is the programmatic
Throughout
side.
the county.
Throughout the county, right.
Yeah, we have buildings and land throughout the county.
Right.
We need to take care of our own before we can take care of anyone else's.
Right.
But two things Greg touched on that are really important. Number one, when you sell your home, you have $1 tax, okay? Say it's $1. Of that dollar, 89.625 cents goes to the state. Only 10.25 cents stays behind. We generate all the paperwork, we separate the money for CPA, we separate the money for the state, we separate all with your county employees, and all the money goes to the state. When you have a document recorded, in 1981 it was $10, and the $10 was to offset the running of the county. Today it's $77, and the county gets $10. Okay, so you can see what we're dealing with. Whenever the state needed money, they went to the bastard child of government, which is the county, and they stole it. And we're past that now. They're starting to realize that cities and towns have to regionalize. Out in the western part of the state, they've created councils of governments where there were counties. If counties don't survive, the vehicle for regionalization is an individual vote at town meeting of your town joining another town in a particular matter, where the county can do it by statute, by just getting everyone in a room and we agree, hey, this is the way we want to go, let's do it, and you can either opt in or not opt in. So we're trying to do all of that at once, and all of us are ADD plus, trying to go in 90 directions at the same time, because we've got so much ground to catch up on. It's unbelievable what we inherited. I mean, Steve can tell you some of the meetings we went to 5-6 years ago, we were scratching our head going, really? You're giving us this to vote on, really? And we've professionalized it. This year, you're going to get your budget exactly how you wanted it with the years. We listened. We're trying to do it right. And once we get everything in order, which we think will take another 6 months before we're 100% in order, we're going to start doing what you want to do. If Middleborough needs something, we want to know what it is. If you can't do it and we can help, we want to help. If we can't help, we can't help. But if we can, we want to. We are here to serve you, all the inhabitants of Plymouth County.
It's a good segue into the regionalization topic, and what we're talking right now with Bridgewater State University is funding a study to discuss regional engineering. I'm sure that this community, like the town of Pembroke, Bridgewater, and Hanover, has a multitude of engineers. The planning board has an engineer, conservation has an engineer, you have an engineer, and we're looking at studying that so that on a regional basis, some of that burden can be taken off. It's low-hanging fruit. We're not impacting anyone's job unless you have a town engineer. He might not be for it, but the economy of scale gained by the buying power of so many communities with the same need. What we would do then is go out with an RFQ, advertise it, and take advantage, much the same way we did with actuarial studies for the housing authorities. You took 40, how many communities, Mr. Treasurer?
I joined in on that program, 35.
35, and some of them were outside of the county. So we put it out to bid. A company, big accounting firm came in, bid the project, and we saved on average $1,500 to $2,000 a community just on those services because we combined the buying power in the need. And I think it's been rather successful so far. So as Dan said, give us about 6 months. And the capital needs with the buildings and grounds is one thing, but if we start generating revenue for programs that you want, because the chances are other communities want to do the same thing, put everyone in the room together, let's identify some needs, let's come up with a plan, and let's implement it.
No, it's definitely fiscally advantageous to collaborate.
Absolutely.
I've seen it.
Yeah.
We have.
I mean, if you go back and look, if you go around your community, you're going to see little medallions here and there in the ground that say Plymouth County. All your roads were laid out by Plymouth County, your original roads, the meets and bounds. We have all the original records of the entire county. We have the original records from the Pilgrims from 1600 to 1622. You know, we've got a tremendous amount of assets that the county has. We just need, you know, we need a little more time to be stewards of goodwill. We are moving, I don't know if you were aware of this, you will be part of the budget is our move. We are moving to the old Sheriff's Administration building as we have been evicted from our Commissioners building by the town of Plymouth as they voted to build a town hall on the site where our building is, which is awesome. So I'm pretty excited about it because they're gonna restore the old 1820 courthouse, which we're really thrilled about.
Nice.
So.
I had another quick question, if I may. Tourism. We've been launching a big tourism campaign here, if you didn't know, just in case you didn't know or hear about us. We've been making a lot of noise, though. So you had mentioned that you do, that's one of your projects, and you give money. Does that go
Yes.
to the Plymouth County Convention and Bureau visitors, or where does it go?
What you have an opportunity to do at the advisory board is, or prior to the advisory board, if Steve could talk to the executive board chairman, Ellen Allen from Norwell, and see if she can't finagle a piece of the tourism money into that vote.
We did, Mr. Chairman, the PCDC, we were able, as the county commissioners, to petition the legislature for additional monies, actually for the town of Middleborough.
Oh, good.
As a member, I think it's roughly,
How much is it?
So we,
$2
the
million?
county knows, I think, better what's happening in Middleborough.
Right.
But we can support the PCDC so that you guys can access that
Right.
money on a regional basis.
Right, that's the Plymouth Development Council.
It is.
Right.
Yes, which I'm a new member.
I think we give them $5,000 or $10,000 a year.
You give them $5,000 a year, and you have upped it in this budget by $1,000.
Yeah.
So 6,000 this year. And that would go, you would go through the Development Council? Or
It does.
Paul Cripps, or?
It does, yes.
Okay.
Did
Just
you
wanted
say-
to
At one
confirm.
time, that was, when I first started in county government, it was 50,000.
Yeah.
A little piece went to
Right.
each regional. So, again, Steve, you can call me
I know-
offline.
Did you say it was 60,000? I'm sorry.
At one time.
6,000,
Oh,
six.
no, to us.
Today, it's 6. To you?
6,000 to us?
I'll give you
or
60,000 for your vote.
That's it. Hey, you gotta vote. If you got 60,000, I'll vote yes.
It's for the whole county, though, yes. And is that a matching fund? There have to be matching funds, do there not? Yeah. Yeah, I believe so. I just wanted.
They don't have
Yep.
to match it, do
so
they?
they can apply for grants on
Access
them.
to federal grants because you give them money.
Oh, so they get
turn
credits.
your money and multiply it by 2 or 3 times. They get that money back into the county and disseminate it to groups like, groups here.
So does the town then have to have the money that they're matching? put
No.
forward? No.
We do it for you.
That's, okay, that's what I wanted to know. Okay, great. It's through the federal source.
Right. Those are the maps.
Maps, yes.
Dan was talking about the gift that we're bringing to the town is the town map as it's laid out in the county.
County.
Dan had talked about the medallions. So my understanding is the treasurer had paid you a visit, bringing gifts the last time, and so not to be outdone, the commissioners are here bearing gifts.
Statutorily, we have to produce that every 10 years.
The gift
You'll
that
notice
keeps
we're
on-
not on it.
The gift that keeps on giving, I guess, is it?
You should have gotten a red book, too.
Yes, we did.
Yeah, so
Yes, we did get red books, and it was very helpful.
that's another statutory requirement, so,
So-
and it's a good thing, so.
It's one of the first years we got it, I think. Didn't you pass them out last year, too? Or was this your first
No,
year?
first one in 3 or 4 years.
Yeah.
So,
Mr. Chairman, while we have the county treasurer with us, would you mind calling him up just to touch briefly on the pension obligation bond?
I don't think, he didn't have to, he was here last
Okay.
week.
That's a big thing.
Any other questions? We don't want to take up all your time because I'm getting the eyes from my former secretary who worked in Hanover, telling me to get off the stage.
It is hearing at 8, so we have to do jokes now. Song and
We
dance.
have a 10-minute window.
Stretch it, we have to stretch it.
Oh, you're not going away quite yet.
No,
I
no,
have
no.
a couple questions.
Oh! Okay.
Mr. Knowlton, do you have any questions?
Yeah, I just want to say that I like the idea of coordinating with other communities. I definitely like the idea of the dredge that you were talking about, and come and talk to us when you have it.
Sounds good.
You've been on our list a long time ago. Yeah.
Good.
We have a new county website, so it's a lot easier to communicate with us. If you would like to talk about anything, drop us a line, and we can respond to it quicker than we've ever been able to do, I guess.
Ms. Stewart, do you have any questions?
No questions, but thank you so much for coming and for your presence.
I have a few.
I knew it. Couldn't get out of here.
I'm certainly going to look into the energy management audits that you guys are talking about. We have our own gas and electric utility
Right.
here, so I'm not exactly sure how that works with your plan, but I do want to talk to you more about it probably at a later date. Maybe I'll accompany Mr. McKinnon to one of your meetings. That's a treat.
That is a treat. He'll tell you, that's probably the best meeting of the year.
You know, I could take this abuse at home. I don't know.
The dredging program, how long do you think you'll spend on the coast, and when do you think you'll be moving inland? Because we have a demonstrable need to dredge the Nemasket River. And as an invitation to highlight that need, I'll take any one of you, or all of you, on a canoe trip down the Nemasket River at any time if you'd like to see what I'm talking about.
Well, I'm a saltwater guy, so.
Hey, well, if you follow it all the way, we end up in
Actually, the
Narragansett
dredge
Bay.
is a really neat story because Commissioner Wright pushed the dredge and asked for a freshwater dredge because the need on the ponds and the rivers is far greater than on the ocean, believe it or not. But the first grant we got was specifically to buy a dredge that was saltwater. We got approval to use it for both, so we're buying a dredge that's mobile. And that's the first piece, is the actual dredge equipment. The second piece would be the scow to put the spoils on. Right now, there's eight of the 11 communities are working a budget out to be able to use that during certain months of the year, and we're expecting that on other months of the year, the county will be able, with its own forces, go in and do inland. We haven't got the particulars on it, but it's coming. That's one thing for sure, is coming.
Yeah, we're definitely interested in that.
Okay.
We have some serious flood issues in this area, and they'll be serving a lot of communities, not just in Plymouth County either. Regionalization about the engineering, we're certainly interested in that. We paid 2 bills to the tune of about $2,500 just tonight on engineering, so it's something we're definitely interested in.
That's another thing we used to have, is a regional engineer, and it's by statute, we're allowed to appoint one. We just haven't been able to because the state got greedy and took a little more than they should have, and they're not letting us wet our beak. Hopefully that's going to be corrected with this legislative cycle.
Well, you definitely have partners with Middleborough. If you need any help on a state level, we're more than happy to help in any way, shape, or form we can. Do you have any thoughts on regional 911?
That's a good question.
On the antenna, the frequency.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that.
The fire chiefs in the northern part of the county have asked us to look into some issues with regard to regionalization of their signals. All of the signals at one point in time for police and fire went through the county. With the sheriff splitting off, there's a lot of open-ended questions on who owns what, who's got what, and so on and so forth that we're working out. But the concept of a regional 911, the county did apply for and did receive a grant to study regional 911 for the entire county. That study was completed, I believe, a year ago? 2 years ago. 2 years ago? and the Commonwealth didn't want to fund the next piece, which would be to build the dispatch center, because there's a tremendous amount of work that goes into it. Cohasset, Hull, Norwell, and Hingham got together, and they're in Hingham. I don't need to tell you, because he probably put it together when he was in Hingham. And it took a lot longer than they expected to get some of the bugs worked out between the different frequencies and the different types of systems. But it appears to be working well and saving all 4 communities some money. So the communities that are in it, so regionalization is the way to go. It's not something that we're going to be able to deliver in a short term.
We have applied for the frequencies through the FCC. We voted that
That's for radios, not the 911s.
but that would supplement the program and backing up this regionalization effort that was already pre-funded. So the more you can enhance a program, bigger chances of rallying your legislative delegation. So they had already done the litmus test kind of study on it, but it fell short. Now, if we add the component of the FM frequency for the radios and then put it as part of the master plan, that's another component that wasn't considered previously. So with the new legislative cycle coming up, we'll be filing new legislation come January. So that's another reason for you that if you're thinking about regional efforts, bring it to our attention, because united we can present, like we did those 7 pieces of legislation, and then really lobby our delegations to get funding. If it's a need that you have, chances are other communities are thinking the same thing.
Well, you guys, Plymouth County, I think, is unique in that it has the 2 largest towns in the Commonwealth in it.
Mm-hmm.
And
correct.
It's a blessing and a curse. Any thoughts on regional plowing? Because we get killed every year.
We'd never rule it out.
Well, that's why you can deficit spend it. I mean, it's the only thing you can deficit spend. You know, all these things, believe it or not, should be, a lot of these things should be done countywide. We're just not set up to do it yet. We're going to pick them off one at a time. We're going to go for the low-hanging fruit. And once people have confidence in this set of commissioners or the next set of commissioners in the programs that are set up, I think you'll see it expand. Because, you know, you hit it right on the head with the 911. It's just simple. I mean, we got 300 911 centers in the state of Massachusetts. There's 24 in the entire state of Texas. I mean, it's been studied to death with fiber optics. You don't need someone in every single town. Those days are over. Same with police chiefs, fire chiefs, dog catchers, veterans agents. I can go down the list. Town managers, you name it. You don't need 351 of them.
But the political reality is they all have constituencies, and we're trying to pick off the low-hanging fruit, the stuff that you subcontract out, i.e. your lawyers, your engineers. Those don't affect people that live in your community, that work in your community. So those things, you know, are a lot tougher to handle. But we're willing to listen.
Well, it's definitely a discussion that I think we all agree needs to be had.
Absolutely.
Now, since you brought us this beautiful map, I'm going to put you right on the spot. We have an issue here in Middleborough where we can't find the deed to a street that crosses over the Taunton River. It's called Auburn Street and goes into Bridgewater. We need a deed that proves that that's a town-owned street.
We will have
the registry of deeds
go through every single file, and I'll have the women go through the meets and bounds of the files that the county commissioners have. If you could email us or have...
You know we're being taped, correct?
Yeah.
All right. Because I'm going to hold you to this now.
That's fine. No, absolutely. That's what we're here for.
But we do. We have a big issue.
It'll be a birthday gift for Miss Stewart.
I appreciate that.
All right. So you heard it here, Charlie. You're going to get that deed for us.
Let's see what we can
The
find.
layout. All right.
Right?
Does anyone else?
If it exists...
It's on your map.
Oh, here we go.
I just found it. It's on your map.
If it's on, if it,
just
no,
found it
I
in
gotta
the
tell you something, if it's on that map, it's probably in a card catalog somewhere in the county commissioner's office.
Beautiful. That's what I wanted to hear.
We just approved as part of the county budget a digitization program that will allow them to go back to 1910
Right.
on
Yeah.
records. So everything will be digitized.
That you can all get online, I mean, they're already digitized, but the indexing will go back to 1910.
You'll be able to go online.
But I got a feeling that's older than that.
I believe it
King
is.
Philip go down that road or what?
Twice.
Twice?
Does anyone else have any other questions?
Yes, I do, Mr. Chair.
McKinnon.
You mentioned radios, which brought to mind a discussion I had with my fire chief. that he indicated that in 8 or so years, the federal government, in their benevolence, sweet, loving gentlemen and ladies that they are down in Washington, has decided that the 800 band is not going to be serviced by, be able to utilized by the fire service and the police
Right.
service. They're just taking that away.
That's
And
why
that's a great
we applied for the band we applied for the bandwidth that they're allotting for that.
And one of the things that we have, it's more particular to our town and probably Plymouth, is the fact that there are, the radio waves don't reach all sections of our town from our repeaters, our local repeaters. And the redundancies are not as dependable as we'd like to see. And one of the things that the chief mentioned was microwave. And on a regionalization type basis, if we can draw some DHS funding, which they probably wouldn't give any Homeland Security grants or something like this, but you never know. Somebody might have a weak moment in Washington. And
Give them the county.
if we can get the county to go with a microwave type system, capitalizing on all of the antennas that are out there, we could get better coverage. Because my problem is, quite honestly, I have police officers get out of their cars,
And they can't communicate.
and they've got their portable radio.
And it's not
If they're in the middle of a gunfight, they can't, oh, time out, take a break, I gotta make a
I gotta
call.
move to the left.
You know, I mean, it doesn't work. So we need to have be more proactive about getting the funding so that we don't all of a sudden wind up, it won't affect us, but in 8, 10 years from now, somebody's going to call up and say, well, I tried to use the radio and it doesn't work. And we don't want that to happen. And we don't want to get caught with well, now instead of costing $10,000 to fix it, it'll cost, $250,000.
Because once they phase out the radios, the repairs are gonna go through the roof. We are aware of it. We did apply for the frequency that they're asking everyone to change to if you're fire and police. Time will tell whether we get it. One thing we've learned, Greg and I and Sandy, in the last 2 years is that the federal government has an opportunity to give a grant to a county as opposed to a town. If the town of Middleborough goes for a grant versus Dade County in Florida, Dade County's gonna get it. So we're gonna try and start hitting all those federal grants as much as we can, because as a county, we have a better chance. The bureaucrat in Washington doesn't understand that the counties up here aren't the same as the counties down there, but the counties up here, we're unique with our local home rule governments. So we are aware of it, we're trying. If you're aware of something that we need to go after, send us a note, we'll go after it.
All right.
We have entered into some discussion with Congressman Keating. He sits on the Homeland Security Committee. I don't know if Dan wants to talk about the gun range. I don't know if you've heard about the gun range that was started.
I'd love to talk about the gun range as a
We
filler.
put it on our agenda for this year's legislative cycle and things we want to accomplish, but Congressman Keating has pledged his full attention to that issue, and if you're willing to talk about the bandwidth and all that, sure.
I'd love to talk to you about the gun range. In 2009, the county decided to build a gun range to serve all the towns. The EPA, the DEP doesn't want you shooting outside anymore because lead gets into the ground and so on and so forth. So they wanted to create a gun range. So the county built a beautiful building for a gun range, and the state took the sheriff, and we no longer pursued the gun range because the state took the sheriff. He was no longer part of the county. As part of the legislation, the state got to draw where the property lines are. They drew the property lines, they forgot the gun range. So we still own the gun range. So we met with the sheriff and said, look, we want you to finish the gun range. And so we said, great. So they went to the state, and the state said, we're not allowed to build anything on land we don't own. So there's been a catch-22 for almost 4 or 5 years, but we're going to try and break that logjam this year and finish the gun range one way or the other, whether it's with the state or without the state. The gun range needs to be finished because every municipality's police department needs a gun range. And there's only a handful that have them. MBTA police need it in our area, believe it or not. So does the state police, and so does the local feds. So we're hoping to get that finished too, somehow or some way through the myriad of laws that we have to deal with between the state and the county.
We have so many plans on the drawing board, it's kind of hard to bring it all out.
Plus,
So many
it's
programs.
mundane.
Yeah.
It is very
It's
much.
mundane.
Don't let them near a dictionary, that's all.
Hey, I'm just
Listen, it's like
preventing
watching-
you from saying it at
It's
our
like watching
meeting.
paint dry, trust me. But we're junkies, so we're into it.
There you go.
Anything else we can do for you?
Any other comments, questions?
Okay.
Charlie, do you have anything?
No,
Now we're on their time.
Yeah.
We stretched it pretty good.
You've done good.
On behalf of the county,
We
Does
really
anyone
wanna
in the
thank
audience
you.
have any comments or questions for the county commissioners, the York County Commissioners?
on behalf of the county, we thank you for your time and happy birthday.
Thank you.
Oh, it's
Thank
your
you.
birthday, happy birthday. Oh, okay. Thank you very much, and thank you for being on the advisory board. We appreciate your time and efforts.
It's always a pleasure.
Is this new? Because I still have it. Oh, new.
Plenty of, thank you.
All right, hearings, meetings, and licenses. The Board of Selectmen will hold a public hearing in the Selectmen's Meeting Room at Town Hall at 10 Nickerson Avenue, Middleborough, Mass. on Monday, June 9th at 8 p.m. for the purpose of discussing an application filed by Outback Engineering on behalf of Lorden Oil Company, DBA Lorden Propane, for a special permit under the Water Resource Protection District bylaw to allow for the construction of a 120 by 62-foot propane distribution facility and its associated parking area in the Water Resource Protection District Z3 district, and to allow for a maximum of 40% of the total lot area to be impervious at Wareham Street, Lot 3, Assessors Map 94, Lot 1026, zoning district, general use. Anyone wishing to be heard on this matter should appear at the time and place designated. With that, I will open the hearing.
How you doing? Jason, I'm pushing Outback Engineering.
How you doing?
Seth Lorden, Lorden Propane. And we're also here with John Hart, Doc Carver, Energy Consultant. Got the green cards.
All right, you can give those to Jackie. The only thing I would ask is you speak into the microphone.
Yep. And as you mentioned, in the advertisement, we are here proposing a propane distribution facility, Lorden Propane, on this 10.5 acre lot. It is a 7,500 square foot building, parking area for 27 spaces. It has propane storage tanks in the back of the property. Done drainage for the site, and also the Water Resource Protection District Z3s. We've gone into great detail on the drainage design for the site to make sure it meets all stormwater management policy requirements, treating the runoff, anything connected off trucks, because there's distribution trucks that will be parked on the property. We have water quality tanks, leading the runoff redirected to the catch basins and water quality tanks. We may have it flow into an infiltration basin on the adjacent property, where we're going to have a drainage easement. And this infiltration basin has the capacity to store up to the 100-year storm event. So it's going to store the 100-year storm event, infiltrating into the ground, recharge any groundwater that might be taken away with the impervious that's been added to the site. We have a total impervious area of 68,413 square feet, which is about 15% of the total square footage of the lot, so quite a bit lower than the maximum allowed. There are some wetlands in the back of the property. We're staying outside 100 foot buffer from the wetlands, so we're not impacting any resource areas within 100 feet of the wetlands. We will be filing with conservation. Wetland line was approved under an ANRAD previously. Colosa Commercial Park proposed to have an access drive which comes in here to access the back of the property. I'm not sure if it's going to be forward
back when we did that a few years back. Nothing was built, but it was just submitted to conservation, they had a lot of wetland issues, and kind of went through the permitting process that way. The site now is a wooded lot. Topography, the rear of the site slopes towards the wetlands, and the front slopes towards Wareham Street, Route 28. We've gone through the analysis for the 210 and 100-year storm events to make sure we're not increasing flow to Route 28. And any of the butters to the north and the south, and we're not increasing runoff flowing to the wetlands. Again, we're going to collect all our runoff, treat it in water quality tanks, and store it in our infiltration basin so it can slowly be treated water can be slowly.
Can I just ask you to adjust the microphone? Apparently someone's having trouble hearing you at home.
They're calling in, just
Yes.
on Facebook already, saying you can hear it.
Speak up.
We proposed some landscaping along the front of the property and a couple pages here. I know for previous projects, we've been before the Board of Selectmen and for the Planning Board, they are concerned about the Route 28 corridor and making anything that's proposed to look nice with landscaping and make any project that's come before them to function in the way it needs to, but also be aesthetically pleasing. So we've gone through and done a number of landscaping enhancements all along the front. Landscaping beds, and then we've left buffer zones to the north and south of the residential houses. We're going to leave up as much existing vegetation as we can, and we're going to enhance it with landscaping bedding as well, so they'll have a nice visual screen so they're not staring into the facility. There was some comments from Atlantic Design, which we have addressed. This plan addresses that, and we'll be submitting that to the board. And back to Atlantic Design so they can review our changes and make sure we dealt with anything that they had. One of their main comments was the drainage basin and any kind of outlet that it would have going to the abutter to the north. So we've gone through and made sure that we're not discharging to the abutter to the north. We restore our stormwater runoff and infiltrate it back to the groundwater. There's also some comments from the building inspector, who was concerned mostly with landscaping buffers, so we've gone through and enhanced the landscaping buffers. And we also have some color renderings here, so you can kind of get an idea of what the finished product is going to look like when we're done. So we'll go through those. This is kind of the front view. Obviously, this is Route 28 along the front. We have the vegetation along the front. Screen the building in a way, but obviously we want the building to be seen. It's advertising that Route 28 is a busy road, but it's going to look nice. It's not going to block the building completely, but it's going to shade it enough so that it looks nice. This is looking from the south, from the north, so as you're driving south on Route 28, you can see the building, the sign. And this is directly from the front. As you can see, try to put the low vegetation to block the parked cars in the front, and you cannot see propane tanks in the back, which is obviously something that's important for the board to have, so we're not seeing two big storage tanks just sitting right on the roof in the back of the building, blocked by the building and all the landscape. That's just a close-up of the entrance to the building as you're in the parking lot. I don't know if the board had any questions or comments that we can address. Just the board's here to have some concern.
No one have any comments, questions?
Mr. Chairman, this hearing is just for the WIPD, so I'm not going to get in the tank. Anything about the tank right now.
We do have another hearing next week on Monday for the license.
There was a mention in here of a security fence.
Mm-hmm.
Is that tank going to be fenced?
We have a fence proposed, goes from the back of the building and along the whole back parking lot across that, so it's going to be a secure facility.
6 foot or 7 foot fence with.
6 foot man-proof. I mean, 6 foot man-proof is typically,
Microphone.
6 foot man-proof is what the code requires.
Okay.
Or alternate protection,
Okay.
but that's what we propose.
Okay.
There would also be a card system for access for anyone that comes through, so they're identified on the property with security cameras as well.
Okay. So there's comments from our engineer, from the Conservation Commission, from Chris Cassidy. She sent some comments through, and there's comments from the building inspector.
Correct. I don't think I've seen Trish's comments.
They came late Friday,
Okay,
so you can have this if you want.
excellent.
Okay, Mr.
Thank you. And have you addressed all the concerns that the building commissioner brought up in his June 6th comments? We have, and we're going to submit to the board the revised plans and response letter going over each of his items specifically.
You want to explain the response to the old Wareham Street comment?
There was Old Wareham Street cut through the property, and Mr. Cavosa, who owns the property, has some legal documentation which we can forward to the board on the fact that nobody has rights to that section. They moved the right of way to his access drive and goes through, so it won't be through our lot 3, but we'll forward all that to the board.
Mr. Chair, if I may, the comments from the conservation agent were originally, this plan was extended, and this new plan that you have here has absolutely nothing to do with what was originally submitted. Did you address that at all?
The original, I just got the comment,
Yeah.
but the original plan called for a commercial development
Right.
out on the back. It had nothing to do with out front. This was just a separate lot to be sold.
Right.
It wasn't part of the, I think it was called the Cavosa Commercial Park.
Right.
But they had the wetland line approved through an ORAD, which included this wetland line on lot 3. The old property was lot 1, lot 2, and lot 3, and lot 1 and lot 2 are 32 and 33 acres that extend out back where we're going to put, and we still may put, but
Right, I understand, so this has nothing to do with that. I think that was her whole point. I'm not sure legally if we're allowed to approve something that's so far from the initial plan that was submitted. That was her concern.
they are completely separate. This has nothing to do with.
The one that was extended, that plan?
Correct. The only thing that we're using from that is the wetland line, because they had an ORAD
Okay.
issue for this wetland delineation. And again, I'll go over our comments.
Right.
And correspond with her directly, and we can kind of make sure we're all on the same.
Right, we just have to verify that they are, as long as we get that, yeah.
They had a notice of intent filing, which was completely separate than what this was. And we're not incorporated with that at all. But the ORAD did.
Right.
The ORAD, which approves the wetland line, doesn't approve the work that was proposed, just the wetland line. The wetland line we are using.
Okay, as long as that's clear and acceptable to her.
And again, I'll go over that with her, and obviously we'll respond to her comments as well.
Also, you changed the drainage system as to where it's draining. Is it still draining onto State Highway, and so you still have to make sure you have Mass DOT approval?
We need Mass DOT approval anyway for the access, and so they'll be getting site plans for approval. But we do not have any discharge coming out of our basin towards the butter from Mass Highway. We're infiltrating all on
Okay.
soils we encountered in that area. And very excellent soils for infiltration.
Okay. Well, that's all I had.
Anyone else have any other questions?
And as long as the comments by Tricia are addressed, and that plan, is that the May 20th plan?
We revised that
Okay.
to address Mr. Whalen's comments and Atlantic Design's comments, and we will be submitting these new plans with the comment letters to the board. And I'm going to modify my letter to include Trish's comments as well.
All right. So we'll continue this hearing?
We can continue it for a week.
All right. Does anyone else have any comments or questions before we continue? Does anyone in the audience have any comments or questions? Sure.
You know, I'm Ted Lloyd, I'm the owner of One Propane. I want to thank the board for representing tonight. I did want to just explain a little bit about our company and who we are, and give you some background. We are a family business. We've been in business for 7 years. We have 5 different facilities that we own and manage. We have an excellent safety record at any of these sites. We have done similar type of projects in the past. We've gone into a town and we've expanded to, because in the last 2 years we've expanded our services to the Middleborough area. And we noticed there is a need for local propane provider that, we're very competitive in our pricing. We provide a high level of service, and I think we have a commitment to the way our projects look and our appearance in the county, our community. I think we're trying to show that through these renderings, that's one of our focal points. We understand that we're in people's homes, so it's very important to us to have that appearance where someone could drive by our establishment, come into it, we are people, and recognize that this is a company that they will invite into their home. So we understand that propane gas safety is a concern and an issue always. We take that responsibility very seriously. These types of facilities are very common throughout the country. There's about 15,000 of these types of facilities out there. They're extraordinarily safe. There's been a lot of regulations and codes that have been implemented over the years to ensure that safety. This facility, not only would we would work with the local fire chief, but we would also require, we would require to have a state approval and also meet state and federal regulations as well. So Massachusetts has some of the most stringent codes that we have to adhere to in these types of facilities that enhances that safety factor even more. We think that the design is a nice looking project, and we think it will be a good addition to Middleborough. We understand that we also hire local people. We sponsor local sports, teams, and music programs, and we try to become part of the town. And again, hiring local people. We have the vehicles here. We don't sell trucks, and that generates taxes and taxes on the property. So I think, I just wanted to explain what our goals are, what we're looking to do. We did have a fire science engineer that did a study on the property, which a lot of times when we apply for these types of projects, or I should say a lot of the applicants that are looking for this type of use, they may do a fire safety analysis after the boards have approved. It's one of the final things that is done on the project. We like to do them before we come to the boards. So we hire a fire science engineer, they come in and do an analysis and study of the entire area. And it's a very intensive study with the fire department. They look at the amount of full-time staff, the resources, mutual aid, what the water, there's a public water main, what the response would be. They have meetings with the local fire department, fire chief. And again, there's a fire science engineer who is unable to be here tonight because he has a previous commitment. But he did perform an entire fire safety analysis. He met with the chief, addressed the concerns. I met with the chief on 2 occasions. And we spoke mostly about the safety in the facility, fencing, that type of scenario. So we understand too that there are other propane facilities in the area that are similar to this type of use, but yet we're different in our own way. We don't store propane tanks that come from properties on this site. And we would have to start out maybe 10 to 12 employees to get in the facility. And I think that would be probably right around the start. Obviously, like any business, we're going to grow. As time goes on, we feel like this is adequate acreage, and we took into account the access entrance traffic. You can come before the board. Again, thank you.
Anybody have any comments or questions? I think the project looks great myself. I certainly hope we can work this out and welcome you to the town.
Ellen, I think there's a question over here. You have to get up to the microphone.
Right there's fine. Go there. All right. All right, you do want to speak into the microphone, just say your name and your address clearly?
Jennifer Nash at 503 Raymond Street. I just had a concern about, like, I have a daughter and horses and everything like that there. I would directly brought it up against that property. I had a concern about, one, the safety and some sort of privacy for my daughter, my horses, my dog, and my house. So those are my main concerns.
All right. Would you guys like to address that?
Yeah. As I mentioned, we take very seriously those comments, and I understand, the safety factor is important to us. And I can assure you that we have thought of every scenario we can possibly think of to ensure the safety of both as well as mine, our employees, our staff. I totally understand. I have training myself, and I wouldn't. I'm a very responsible business owner. I wouldn't put something in that I thought would harm anyone. These are inherently safe. I can't even think of an incident at a bulk terminal that is on record in the past 100 years that we can go back to, especially with the new, there's a lot of new regulations and safety, and John Clark will speak to the safety factor of what's been installed at the facility to ensure that safety. And just if I could point out, it was my understanding that, I'm not sure exactly where your property is, but the whole back is above the industrial park. Is that right? Are you on the side? Because from what I remember, everything back here is there's 6 acres of wetland behind the tanks. And then behind that is the industrial park. So I felt like at least the rear of the property is very free of residential activity or any home. So if there's any type of incident, I feel though it's an excellent location on the property for that. I'm not quite sure where you might be.
I am to the right of it.
Over here?
Where that, right next to that little old access.
Right.
Or
Yeah. And we're beyond safety too. We're very mindful of traffic and trucks and leaving. Typically, our vehicles leave the site in the morning and they don't come back all day. So our employees would come on staff, the trucks would load, they leave, and they usually make deliveries. It takes them all day to deliver one truck. They'll come back at the end of the day. We'll always start with maybe 2 trucks here initially. Those trucks will give might increase them to 4. But the activity will be fairly low to begin with, but again, I'm very mindful of traffic, lights. We're going to have all low illuminating lighting in here. We can keep the noise down. We're sensitive, very sensitive to neighborhood. In fact, one of our existing facilities, it was grandfathered use in the middle of a residential neighborhood. We're surrounded by homes. So our company has a very good track record there. We're used to working around residents, and we're very sensitive to that.
Mr. Chairman?
Mr. McKinnon.
Relative to this question, from your entry driveway there's a kind of a double dotted line, that one right, yeah, that goes right down the side of the property to the south, yeah, that one, that line right there, is that a tree line?
This is the existing tree line, so we're going to try and maintain as much existing vegetation as we can, but we're also going to enhance the existing tree line. And I know in that area, there's trees are there, but the low vegetation is not thick. And so we're going to plant some low vegetation to block, do a visual screen. We're going to keep as many of the tree stand as we can and then enhance it with additional vegetation.
Because if her property is, let's call that south, just for, if it's south of that, it should be probably looking right at your tanks. And now, after about a year, she's not even going to notice the tanks are there, but for that year, it's going to be like,
The tanks are way in the back, so The thing that's going to be closest to her would be the access drive and some of the parking area.
Near the buffer.
Come on up and speak into the microphone, sir.
We will maintain a buffer on that side of the original existing tree line. So I believe there'll be quite a bit of vegetation in there, and we'll have plantings along here too to add additional screening. We feel as though from your home, you might have to look out to the back to see this part of the facility, but again, you have the building here. And from the road, we try to, take into consideration of screening the tanks as much as we can with building and planting to keep that in the rear.
What kind of fence is the I think you call it a man-proof fence?
So it's a 6-foot chain link fence. It's a 6-foot chain link fence typically with, at a minimum, little pointy, technical term, little pointy things on the top.
Twisted barb, they call it.
Yeah, very good. That works for me.
Could you put those vinyl slats in there, make it a privacy fence?
The reason I'm hesitating is because we're in a constant back and forth with screening versus visibility for the people that need to see it, the responders and the fire policemen on occasion.
Could you consider it?
Oh, yeah.
Think about it, and we'll talk about it next time you come back.
Well, at least on that side.
Yes, we
where-
definitely use it where it's appropriate to be used, but we just have to look at it and make sure it doesn't inhibit the other safety features or do anything to violate the code. The one other thing I wanted to add is that propane itself is a EPA-approved clean air fuel. It's non-soluble with water, and it's used so much that if you have any spray paint, aerosol, deodorant, hairspray, they use a propane butane, and butane's a cousin of the propane mix to propel it out of the can. So for health issues, it's an organic compound made in the United States. 96% of all the propane used in the United States is made in North America, the United States, Canada, and a little bit from Mexico. So just to add that to the equation, it's not going to be, it's an organic compound, basically. It comes out of the ground and is used and dissipates at -44 degrees. So if it does spill, unlike other hydrocarbons, if it spills on the ground, it boils and dissipates into the air.
Is there any way to request like a fence, just so like when we can go over? Because I just don't want people, I don't want people working in my yard, because people coming over, because I have the horses, I don't want them to get kicked, hurt, and then it'd be my fault, I don't know anybody that will come over, but I just.
The whole back of the facility, and I believe that's the area that we're talking about.
The side, this side down here, go south. Look, you see where 28 is?
Yes.
You see where that entry point?
Yeah.
With your finger going down.
Well, the business end of this thing is all.
Or her side
fence.
is down on this lower side.
Okay.
That's what she's looking
Yeah.
at.
I think
I would be
up here, right, I think for look, and just to mention, on our facilities, there's only probably initially like 4 or 5 people in the building during the day. We don't have a lot of foot traffic from customers because typically we visit their homes. Occasionally you might get a customer come in and pay a bill. So there isn't a lot of public use on the property, like any other business might have a lot of foot traffic, people that might venture over on your side, so I appreciate that. But I feel like a fence here might take away from the look of the property, and I'd be more than happy. There will be a lot of woods and vegetation between our property and yours, so someone would have to go through the woods to get over there. I don't know, a fence, a 6-foot fence, if somebody wanted to go over there, they're gonna go over the fence and go through the woods. But I certainly would have no problem putting some plantings on this side to give you some more screening and maybe some evergreen plants that might make like a hedge, which I feel might be more of a deterrent, trying to get through a hedge than the fence. And I think it would look a lot nicer. Because I don't think anyone's going to be leaving our property going onto yours. But anyway, I couldn't imagine why, especially many of our employees, where I don't have the public on our property like that.
So you're not going to do any retail, like if I bring my 15 or 20 pound,
At this time, no, but I can't say in the future, we might decide to put a filling station there, but that would be to fill a can or a car to tank. But right now, we don't have intention for that. But again, that would be in a fenced-in area, and customers would go see that and go and pay, but that would be maybe on the road sometime.
Perhaps what we do, where it's a concern of somebody, some sort of foot traffic going that way, maybe instead of a security fence, maybe like a split rail fence, just to mark, here's the edge of the property, you know, if somebody walks up and there's a split rail fence there, they're not gonna climb over it. You know, it's not a security fence, but it's something to tell somebody.
It's a deterrent.
This is the end of the property.
But again, they would be going through a considerable amount of woods to get over there. We're not gonna clear all, on that side, we're not clearing all the way to the property line, so I'm not sure why a customer would say, I'm gonna go through the woods over there.
There's no reason getting them to show that you can see my water between my house, just kind of sure, but I don't know how far over the building is going to go.
All right. I have to be honest, I have no idea what you're talking about, because I'm not familiar with the site. I'll be down there this week to take a look at it. But the applicant certainly seemed to be willing to talk to you about this. And just so you know, we're not making a final decision tonight. So if you guys want to take her name and contact info, maybe you can have more discussions about it and see, because she does live here, she's in a butter, she should at least be.
We like to be good neighbors with everyone, so this wouldn't be something we could have a relationship on, you know, if something after you say, you know what, I don't want this isn't take that. It isn't like end with an approval.
Yep.
For us.
Beautiful. Are you okay with that? All right.
Good.
And you have you know how to get in touch with the Board of Selectmen if you have any issues?
After the meeting, I'll give you my card.
All right, perfect, thank you, appreciate that. Anyone else have any comments or questions? No? All right, we'll continue this till next week. What's a good time, Jackie?
7:25.
7:25.
Thank you.
All right, meeting's continued. Is that
vote?
okay?
Want to vote?
To continue?
You want to vote on that?
Do we have to vote to continue?
Yeah.
All right, I'll take a vote to continue.
Motion to continue?
Second.
I have a motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? We'll continue to next week at 7:25.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, now we'll do the town manager's report.
Chairman, the couple of pieces of good news. We were notified last week from the Department of Energy Resources Green Communities Division that we're going to receive a $190,000 grant for energy projects at our water and wastewater facilities. Very good news. So looking forward to doing that. And Mr. Stevens of our Green Energy Committee and all the other hats he wears is going to get $1,600 to do some record book preservation for some records over at the town clerk's office. So keep that state money coming in.
Right. Is that part of the CPA project that we voted in favor of?
No, this is a little bit. This is different. This is a a specific record that they're trying to protect.
All right.
Good work on his part, and good work on Sandy Richter and the other staff that worked on the energy projects. And then the other thing we talked about, we have a draft in our hands of the pavement management program.
All right.
It still needs a little work. There are a few things that are missing here, so we're going to be working on that. I'm going to get you a electronic version of this though this week, so you can start looking at it, and then we'll have a final version, and then we'll be able to have a discussion on it.
All right.
And then also we had a meeting today over at the fire station. We are in the midst of a tabletop exercise, working on a mock hurricane event that we will work on and develop responses to over the next several days, culminating in the actual event happening on Thursday morning. So we'll opened up the, our command center at the fire station and worked the exercise as in real time, although without deploying resources. So we'll go through the steps it takes to respond to the hurricane and and the preparations up to the hurricane taking place, but we won't interrupt our normal business of our people in the field, police, fire, G&E linemen. They'll carry on their regular work. The people who deal with the deployment of resources and preparation for those deployments will carry out the exercise and then review it and see how we do, see how the communication links are, making sure that we are getting the results we want. If we're not, figuring out how to fix it. It's hopefully the beginning of an annual exercise. Perhaps next year with actually field people also involved. Just so that we can be prepared for future emergencies. And I think one of the things that came out of the Boston bombings and the report that was issued recently was that all the preparation those communities did in advance really paid off in that critical emergency. That the communications that they'd worked on, the responses they had worked on together, really paid huge dividends when the real thing happened. So we want to be in that same position, and that's what we'll be doing. And that's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
All right. What about the? Oh, that's what that is. We did. Didn't we get a grant from Mr. Pacheco? Sent us a letter about signage.
That's the one that I mentioned last week.
All right.
Yeah, that was just a verification.
All right. Do you have a name for the hurricane?
No. We didn't name the hurricane. We should have.
Alan.
Name it a male.
It has to be an A, Alan.
People take hurricane storm warnings more seriously if they're male names.
Is that right?
Oh,
Yeah.
Interesting. All right, we'll name it Hurricane Alan. How's that?
We're going to take away your vote next.
I know, I'm watching you.
I'm just telling you. I don't know why I remember.
All the
these
guys
things,
are out
but
there
it's
saying,
true.
take their vote away. Yes, of course.
Second. Second, let's have a joint meeting of the G&E and the Board of Selectmen. Correspondence. Mr. Knowlton, do you want to start?
I certainly do. Number 6, we received a letter, and I'll read the letter. My husband, dear Selectmen, my name is Virginia Seiberts. My husband and I have been residents in Middleborough for 44 years. We've had 3 children in the Middleborough school system and currently have 3 grandchildren in Middleborough schools. I'd like to bring the accomplishment of Cameron Morgan to your attention. This young man is 10 years old and is in the 4th grade at the Mary Kay Good School. He is well-rounded, taking part in various sports and martial arts as well as his academics. He has participated in several science and math programs given at various colleges around New England. This spring, he took the kangaroo math exam at Bridgewater State University. He placed first for his age group for the state of Massachusetts and first place nationwide. I feel that this information should be shared with everyone in town so that we can all be proud of this young man. Thank you, Virginia Seiberts. I would definitely like to commend this young man. The kangaroo math program is a very intensive program. It's actually international. It was started back in the 80s in Australia, and then it migrated to Europe. And there are a number of countries that now contribute. It's K through 12. Each grade level has their own standard of test. And for this young man to place first, not only in Massachusetts, but also in the nation, is quite an accomplishment. So I definitely think he should be recognized. And thank you for bringing this to our attention. I know this is also on the Mary Kay Good Schools website, just recognizing the young man's achievements.
Maybe we should have him come in and take a look at this.
Mr. Chairman, point of order on that. For the school committee member present, are you doing anything to reward this young fellow? Or, I mean, I hate to put you on the spot like that, but why not?
There was nothing on our last agenda, but we have a meeting coming up on June 17th, and I know they're putting that packet together right now, because there's that, and we also had we were fortunate, we had a teacher that is going to be recognized from the high school, a math teacher, as one of the top math teachers in the state, and I want to make sure I get her name right, because I do want to make mention. Suzanne Kubik is a Middleborough High School math teacher. I think she's a math teacher because she gets the 2013 Presidential Awards for Excellence in Mathematics and Science. So teaching finalist, she's one of the finalists. So that's pretty cool too. Got some really cool things and great professionals, great students, doing some really awesome things in the school. So thanks for bringing that up.
To be #1 in the country, though.
That's phenomenal. I love it.
Propose that maybe we send him something from us. I think that would be,
I would
a
second that.
recognition would be nice. Have him come in and get it.
If you'd like to, sure.
Have you got a motion?
Yes.
I didn't hear that.
I would motion it as well as propose.
I will second that.
All right, I have a motion and a second. Any comments or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes unanimously. All right, anything else, Mr. Milton?
No, that would be it.
Ms. Stewart?
Any residents out there that have Xfinity or cable, there's a letter that's effective August 1st. There is going to be an increased charge for past due balances or unreturned equipment from $20 to $25. Keep that in mind before you forget to return your equipment. That's all.
Mr. McKinnon? Anything?
We got a letter of thanks from Marianne Tucker, on behalf of the visual, the art, let me get this right. I didn't do all the reading, as you can tell. On behalf of the visual art teachers of NPS, this is from the two young artists.
Thanking us for thanking them.
Huh?
Thanking us for thanking them.
Thanking us for thanking them. It's a nice round circle here. So. But it's nice because those two folks have their artwork on books. Are we going to get any of those books? Do we have them?
Not yet.
Huh?
Not yet.
Not yet? I'd like to get a couple more of them. We'd like to send one to each of the kids too. So they can have that. And I believe that's it for me.
Ms. Delphi?
I just had the acknowledgement, the verification of the $20,000 itself, so I'm going to get together with the Historic Commission. I have to get in touch with them and anyone else who's relevant to make sure that we can come up with something. I believe the gas and electric is working on a plan as well, so I don't want to duplicate work. I want to work with them and talk about some signage for the town.
Wayfinding and welcome signs.
Yes, oh yes, and then, yes, attractions, nice kiosks with maps would be nice.
I always notice that there are other towns around that, pretty much whenever you go into the town, it has like a little information sign that'll say like you can't drive into Bridgewater when they're having a town meeting without knowing that they're having a town meeting, because every main thoroughfare right at the border has a town meeting, and we have three. One at 28, one at the town hall, one at the high school. I think we could probably,
2 or 3.
you know, a couple more, yeah.
Yeah. Great. Anyone who's interested with input, I will put it out there. I will announce it, so.
All right. I had one that came out of the first time. Business after hours, the Chamber of Commerce. At the Bound Hills on June 17th, 5 to 7 p.m., sponsored by the Cranberry County Chamber of Commerce. There's information at info@cranberrycounty.org. And I think that's it. With that, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So. Second.
We had a
Executive session?
Executive session?
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I just,
We didn't get the leaders? Okay.
oh,
we don't have that yet. Oh. I know, I'm sorry.